restaurateur, and author, and just learned singer, Macy's culinary council chef, Marcus Samuelsson.
How's it going?
It's going great. We are so excited to have you here in Philadelphia.
I'm super excited to be here. It's great. I always love to come to Philly.
Good, and I just want you to know I'm going to end my questions with asking you when are you going to do a really big project here in Philadelphia. But we're going to end with that, right?
End with that, right.
So, you know, we saw a lot about your background on the video. And coming from such a diverse background, how do you weave the different cultures that have made you who you are into your food and into your style of cuisine?
Thank you. Well, see, I love that. It wouldn't be an event without having a little bit of sound issue. And the thing is, they set up the sound right, and I messed it up, so I apologize for that. You were on point. I think it's really important to understand that we are, every single person here, we are basically to 99% the same. The one thing that separates us could be the shade of our skin color. But we focus a lot on that 1%, right? And there's never been a time in the history of, I think, our modern history that we focus more on dividing us and which people matters and who doesn't matter. But you know what, all of us, whether you're Republican or Democrat, whatever you are, we know good food when it hits us. We know good food when it hits us. And I've been fortunate enough to first be born into a place where the misconception of food in Ethiopia is completely opposite, right? It's extremely rich culture and history in terms of food. We were cooking in Ethiopia for about 1,500 years before America was a country. We ate well. and the idea of being raised in Sweden where the food was anchored in seafood and nature and preserving techniques, and then being able to live in Asia or live in Europe to train to come to America. So good food is everywhere. And very often it's also in the poorest part of town, yet very often it gets no recognition. So I look at it that you can learn from any culture. We can be inspired from anywhere. I mean, for me, about Red Rooster, it's really about connecting the Great Migration that Harlem is really inspired of and that we stand on the shoulder of with global immigration. Harlem has both. We have obviously the African American heritage that is the anchor of the community, but we also have Chinese American culture in Harlem. You have Puerto Rican American culture, you have Mexican American, you have Jewish, you have Italian American. So Rooster, we try to tell those tales. Hopefully we're doing delicious. On Monday nights we have great genius like Rakiem Walker Project in there. On Sundays it's all about gospel. We couldn't do the restaurant without musicians. We couldn't do the restaurant without the artist. So that's what makes it so different. Music is not something that comes from the sound system. Music is an ingredient of who we are. Just very much that is in terms of African American tale.
And you sort of mentioned this a little bit in your video and then just now. How has other art forms really influenced the way you cook, sort of your cuisine style?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the privilege of being a black man, and I've been them in so many different situations, is that our history is constantly reintroduced to us by others, and it's always reintroduced by us falsely. Talk about alternative fact. A black man's journey is alternative fact. I can tell you that. I might tell that to Kellyanne Kanye, or they might be the same person. But I mean, that is alternative fact. And rather than being bogged down by that, the other option is to rise above that and bring people together. So when I was in Japan and I couldn't even speak the language, I choose to learn a lot. When I was in Switzerland, when they spoke German and I could understand French, or when I learned enough German, they flipped over to Italian, I still learned a lot. So it's a test. Coming to New York City, where obviously language wasn't the issue, but the culture was different. That was also a test. So I had to work downtown for 10 years before I could go uptown and upgrade myself to Harlem and learn about what is that community and how can I contribute with a restaurant there. So I took several, people don't know is that I took 7 years living in Harlem before I opened Red Rooster. Because I felt like I didn't know enough about the culture. And what you realize when you go to a predominantly African-American community is that it's just different. It's not better, it's not worse, it's just different. Our food was not necessarily only in Four Walls restaurant. It could be in the park by the Jamaican guy that was there for a couple of hours. You know, he was doing jerk, he might be smoking weed, but he was, you know, the jerk was on point. The best cornbread I ever had was not in a restaurant, it was in an after church, it was in the church. The best juice I ever had was not in a juice store, it was on 125th Street by, you know, guys selling stuff by the corner, just fresh carrot juice that they maybe did in their home before they took it down. So they were highly entrepreneurial. The best seafood I ever saw was done by not in a fish store. So all the great food that happened in our community wasn't experienced the same way that you do it downtown. So if Red Rooster would function, it had to be part inspired by church, part inspired by music, part inspired by the energy by 125th Street. And it wasn't just, I'm a big chef, so here's my 10 recipe, let's charge them as much as possible. That was never the idea of the restaurant. The idea of the restaurant was to reflect and mirror the image of the community that was in front of me, that we were lucky and fortunate enough to be part of called Harlem.
So, and how do you see the work that you're doing as being a voice in the community? How do you want to inspire others, whether it's future chefs that may be out in the audience today, or future entrepreneurs that want to start their own restaurants?
I mean, it's everything, you know what I mean? Like, if I would, again, first of all, I happen to work in an industry where you can't get bank loans. I happen to work in an industry where 9 out of 10 restaurant fails. So this idea that you would overinvest in the predominantly African-American community in a restaurant, there's no one to go to but your own idea, and really you gotta get up and figure it out yourself. So the whole, that's why we put hustle on the cover of the book, because the other idea that we wanted to focus on was inspire, aspire. So I was inspired by the rich history of African-American culture. Maybe out of that, I could set up great aspirations for the next generations of culinarians. And all the great experiences for them doesn't have to be downtown. So it was a change of foot traffic of basically dreams, right? Normally, we're so used to in our community to say, we sleep here, but the good jobs are of course downtown. The good school is of course out of our community. Now people can get up at the subway and say, hey, the good restaurant, the good job is actually in my community.
Around the corner.
So that changes the inspiration, but the aspiration. And the key to that is being in Harlem and of Harlem. There's a lot of stuff in Harlem, like 8 Dwayne Reeds, but they're not in Harlem and of Harlem. There's like 11 subways. They're in Harlem, they're not of Harlem. So we are constantly being projected with stuff coming into our community with no any other inspiration than being a transactional. Rooster is everything but transactional. If you're a young musician, you can practice with Rakiem. If you want to be a chef, you can be part of our culinary team. If you want to open a bar, you can learn at Rooster and then open a bar across the street. If you think about, if you're a young entrepreneur, we do pop-ups in our nook all the time. So our staff might be selling the next cream, or the next pair of earrings, or the next fashion line. So the Four Walls is a cultural institution of dreams and hope. It happens to be a restaurant, that's the core, but it's just a tiny thing about the life skills and the memories and the aspirations that we can realize.
What would you say, that's right, you can applaud to that, absolutely. What would you say are the biggest challenges of being a Black chef and business owner?
I mean, I've been a Black chef all my life, so I should know about it. So I should know how it feels.
Like in comparison to what?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think about it. I think about how can I get better, how can my team get better, how can I give more? And as an entrepreneur, it's always scary because we go through, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 24 years old. Through 9/11s, through my parents, through my father's death, through the birth of my daughter and my son, through, the ups and downs, right? Through economical crisis. And the one thing I can say that it's inspirational about being in a place like Harlem, Harlem has always been in a financial crisis. So I'm sorry, it doesn't affect us the same way as it does downtown. It's always spiritual to be on a high. So it was almost like a leveler. It's like, okay, now welcome to the club. Let's figure it out. And guess what? The guy on the corner selling anything from hats to books to whatever he or she is doing, they are entrepreneurial whether there's an economic crisis or not. And if the hats is not selling, they're selling juice tomorrow. So they have to constantly figure it out. So I'm inspired by those guys. There's so much in our community that's inspirational in terms of entrepreneurship. And these guys are doing it with no money available. And so I look more in the community for inspiration than I look outside the community for inspiration, because outside the community is very much about being a linear thinker. In the community, you have to be everything but. And it's actually very liberating work in Harlem in that sense,
And you talk about being inspired by people who live in the community.
Yes.
How do you want to inspire the next Marcuses in the world, the people who want to grow up and be chefs in their communities?
Well, I mean, we think about it long and hard at MSG Group, and we do it a lot of different things. But obviously, the restaurants, Streetbird and Red Rooster, between those, we employ 200 culinarians in our community. We have a food festival called Harlem Up that Macy's is a great partner with. We're part of a program called CCAP. We have a lot of CCAP students, the next generation. Can you guys come up here and show everybody who you are? Yes, excellent. Exactly. Take it all in.
We give them a round of applause.
Yes.
Our future chefs.
Yes, this is the next generation. And CCAP's been around for over 25 years. It's across the country. Actually, the Philadelphia program is one of the most successful ones. There was a film called Pressure Cooker. 80% of the film was done here in Philadelphia about the CCAP program here, where young high school students learn life skills through cooking. So the next chef of Philadelphia could be anybody from the three of these young professionals. And since all they want is a way in, and hopefully they do well in the competition, because then they can get a scholarship and get a free ride to college. Whether they stay in cooking or not, it doesn't matter. If we were there for them and they get an opportunity to go to great education, we've done our part. So that's a way to thinking about it, and that's a way to, in a concrete way, activate it. I was a young teenager, and if I didn't have cooking, maybe I would be on the wrong side of the corner doing the wrong stuff. Cooking has helped me bring a focus and a determination and goals, right? So CCAP does that, so we thank CCAP for that. Thank you very much. But our Harlem Up, in May, we have 1,700 volunteers helping out, making sure 15,000 people come to Harlem for that weekend in New York City. Harlem is the culinary destination in the world. Think about that 10 years ago when people didn't even link dining destinations in the hood. Now people come from all over the world to say, hey, I want to open a restaurant, I want to create jobs, I want to have the best culinary experience in Harlem. So that stuff doesn't happen without the community at large. So it's much larger than me. I can have an idea and then I go to people like Rakiem and say, hey, you know music, who can we get around this? Because without music, you know we can't do anything in Harlem. So